Okay, here goes. Hi, everybody. I was inspired by Tom's beautiful video about walking down memory lane. I thought I wanted to do a video for a long time to show you a bunch of stuff. So I'm taking the plunge. What do I want to talk about first? So I want to talk first about my deck because I want to. Um, and what I want to show you is what happened between. Can we focus? Yes. This is version 1, and I now have version 2. And hopefully you can see that the orange is becoming more orange, which is a good thing. And we have a third version on the way that I'm super excited about, that I think we really finally nailed it. So all of this to say that color correction is a pain in the tuchus, and I don't wish it on the worst of my enemies. It's really very difficult because you're working in the dark. You don't know what it's going to look like at the end. You see, so there's. I hope it's focusing. No. Kind of. Yeah. And you can see that there's slight differences, but since these cards are so strange to begin with, it's kind of important to me that the impact of the card itself comes across as close to the original as possible. I'm showing you some cards that I really am not happy with, because this is supposed to look like. Is this working? Sorry, this is trying to shoot this on my phone. Maybe not the best idea, but you can see it's supposed to be more green. It came out blue. Oops. Yeah, and again, the orange is just still not what it's supposed to be. And the backs are the funny. I call this the burnt toast version. This is the not quite done version, and hopefully version number 3 is going to be a nice piece of toast on the back with the brown. So yeah, so it's happening, and I am super excited about it because it's been more than a year now, I think, in the works. And I have a wonderful, wonderful friend doing the editing for me. Here's you can see this entire thing is the book, and we're now basically going page by page and trying to get the best edited version that we can for the book. And I'm happy that the feedback I'm getting from her is really positive. She really likes it. And what do I want to say about it? I want to say that it's, again, the act of editing, especially when we have sorry, it should have been, yeah, but you can see there's a long list of correspondences that list crystals and music and and keywords, and so sometimes there are commas, sometimes there's semicolons, sometimes it's just the punctuation of this thing, and using italics when it's a thing, and it's taking a long time. But I don't want to release something that I'm going to be like, wow, we should have just taken another month to edit it properly and release it in its the highest form that we can. So just be patient. I think the next 2 weeks we're going to finish with the edits, and I'm going to get the third version. And if all goes well, we will release it to the atmosphere. We're going to release it probably in May. And I'm still debating whether it should be a Kickstarter or it should be just on my webpage. I don't know. Maybe guys can leave comments. What do you think is better? Yeah. So that's that part. That's the deck. But sort of connected to it, I've been looking for this for a long time. You all know what this is. This is the Orosoma Tarot. But this deck has a beautiful list of provenance. You know, like when artifacts pass hands from one person to the other. This deck originally belonged to Annika. Hi, Annika. So the deck says hi too, and Annika sold it to our little Tiger, Tiger's Abyss. So Tiger got this, and I got this from Tiger. So this deck has started in New Zealand and made it all the way to Western New York, and I'm so happy to have this copy. It kind of means a lot to me that two wonderful people have had it before, and I feel fortunate to have it. So here's the story. Here's, I think, what's interesting about it. When I first saw this deck here, I'll just show you some cards as I'm talking. I first saw this deck on Ethany's channel, and I was very lucky that for her birthday, I got a reading with her, her Orasoma reading, and she, we chose the bottles, and she did a beautiful, beautiful reading. And I was fascinated with it, and I was fascinated with the bottles, and I thought, wow, I would really love to get my hand on a copy. I would have loved to get a copy with the bottles on the back, but those are so expensive. So I just got the Farben and Engel, and that's waiting for me in New York, and that's basically the bottle. So I have both of them. Back to the story. So she did the reading, and I was fascinated with the deck, and I was fascinated with the bottles, and I thought, wow, I really need to keep an eye for this. And like many of you have said, the artwork is not really my style. It's not something I go like, oh my God, this is so beautiful, which it is. But again, it's not my to-go-to kind of art. But there's definitely something about it, and there's something about the bottles, and I just couldn't put my finger on it. So fast forward, I'm getting this deck, and I got this beautiful book that I think it was Lisa in Terra's Alchemist who recommended this book. And I got it, and I'm looking at the bottles, and suddenly something hit me. And let me just flip to the right page. I chose, one of the bottles that I chose with Ethany was bottle 100, and it's the Metatron bottle, and it's called Clear and Magenta, right? Clear and Deep Magenta. But to me, it's basically black and white. Now, look at this drawing. Do you see something in common here? So I'm starting to think that maybe all these crazy doodles are a form of shaking the bottle. You getting it? And the reason why it got even more intense is because of bottles like this where it's clear and orange. And if you look at my deck, so many of these, and I was always wondering, because again, the colors, oh, I'm spilling things, sorry. I'm super excited. I would say about 30% of the cards have orange in them. Another orange one. And the other cards are usually a combination of two colors. And I was always wondering, like, why was it only two? Like, why wasn't I using more? And when I used more, it usually felt like, I'm not too sure about this. Right? So I've been investigating this connection, and I can't tell you that there is, obviously there isn't a conscious connection. I'm not even sure that there is a subconscious connection, but something is happening between these two things. And the more I learn about it, I guess I will share with you what I learned. I didn't include the bottles in the book for the deck because I'm obviously not an Orasoma expert, and the correlation is not 1-to-1. It's not that every card that I drew actually correlates to the bottles, although some of them do. And for example, see if I can quickly find it. No, it's already gone in here. Yeah. So this symbol that is on the cover, the higher self, the mixture of orange and green, this bottle, he says here, the keynote, getting in touch with wisdom so that clarity may unfold. I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly it. So is this a coincidence? Is just the wisdom of colors, so we all relate to colors in sort of an archetypal way, so the connection is already there. I don't know, but it's fascinating that those similarities are being triggered. And there's definitely something about the shaking of the bottles that I see these as sort of some sort of shake, some sort of movement. But maybe the most important thing to say is that I did not know about Orosoma or I was not thinking of Orosoma when I was drawing these. So something to think about. And okay, so now the reason why I even started this video was to talk about the walk down memory lane. PT wants to say hi. Say hi, PT. Hello. She's very excited about all the cards and the video, and yeah, she wants attention right now. Want attention? Say hi to everybody. And I was telling Tom that I don't think my story is that as interesting as his, or that I would be as funny as his telling of it was. But if I remember correctly, because I really don't, but if I remember correctly, the first deck was the Mythic Tarot, which I have in the other room, but you guys all know it, so I feel like I need to show you. The Mythic deck, my friend, astrologer, amazing human being, Linda Joyce, uses tarot. What are you eating? She's eating the manuscript. Excuse us. Don't eat the manuscript. She was the one who showed me the Mythic Tarot, and she uses them in readings. And I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, interesting. And then at Barnes & Noble, when there were Barnes & Nobles in near Juilliard in Manhattan, I used to go there and look at the shelf. And I guess one day I got the courage and I bought a copy of The Rider-Waite Smith. And guess what book? The Idiot's Guide to Reading Tarot. So I'm with Tom there. Was my first book, and I read it several times, and it was, I can't even tell you, I don't even know where the book is anymore. It was informative, and it was a good start, and I love that they correlated the cards to Star Wars characters, because that made a lot of sense to me, so I could relate through that line of mythology to the cards. And it was very well written, very well. It was easy to read, and sort of opened the door. But the problem was, and I guess to some extent still is that I don't connect to these images at all. I understand them, I appreciate them, I have incredible respect for them. The reason why there's a big hole in the corner, because they used to live on a keychain, and I used to carry them in a bag. So pardon the sacrilegious act here. But yeah, I'm not... Now that I know more, and I have so many other decks, I know that this deck does not trigger my imagination. In fact, it sort of goes... Whoosh, my imagination goes like, oh, okay, I don't care about these people. So what happened to my original first deck is that I gifted it to a friend who believed in the mumbo jumbo of that you have to be gifted a deck. And I said, look, if you're never going to buy a deck, here is a deck, you take it. I don't relate to these images anyway. I have my mini version of it. I'm good. So the deck lives with her. And as the story continues, when I got that original deck, I would do readings, and of course I'm not going to be able to find it, but there was one card that if I say 100% reading appeared in 90% of them. I'm sure that you guys can guess which card it is. It's not the death card. That would be a little too simple. But that card just tortured me. And of course, it's going to be the last one. That card tortured me. And at the end, I said, like, you know, I'm so sick and tired of doing readings. You guessing which one it is? Every freaking single time. I would open, I was like, okay, let's try. Maybe this time I'll get something. I would get this freaking card. Now, yes, my love life was this. And my brain was this. And I was stuck in a big pile of black goo. So yes, it was appropriate. But I just couldn't handle the symbol anymore. And I just put the deck away and I said, forget about it. What triggered my interest again in tarot? I think it was Kelly. I think I stumbled on Kelly's channel and then I was like, oh, before Kelly. No, there was Bonnie. And Bonnie was the fabulous Reiki master, channeler, spiritual Reverend Bonnie that I love. It actually married me and my husband. And she was the one who gave me a reading, and she had, I think, about 8 decks on the table, many Doreen Virtue's decks. And it was all very angel and light and beauty and positive messages. And I fell in love with the cards. Like, oh my God, there are all these cards. And that was the doorway. And then I found Kelly. And then I realized that, look at this incredible universe of cards that is out there. And I was hooked. So that's my odyssey. And I think till this day, I guess the thing I want to mention is that my reaction to decks is very, I'm a Scorpio, I'm extreme. So it's very extreme. It's either hot or cold. There's very rarely something that falls in the middle. And therefore my collection is not huge. I can very easily say not interested, not interested. But when I'm interested, I'm all in. And I think that's important for me to just, to acknowledge for myself that if it doesn't grab me, then probably I shouldn't get it. But I guess that's that chapter of this very messy video. And the last thing I want to share with you, I hope I can articulate it right. So, listening to Maha talk about the connection between archetypes and the tarot archetypes and astrology, and sort of learning astrology myself, I was like, this is my chart. I have these very long drives from my workplace that is in one side of the New York State to my home, which is in New York City. So when I do those crazy drives at about 7 hours, it's actually kind of fun because I sit in the car and I listen to Tom Benjamin videos. I get to meditate and I get to think about things. So it's kind of nice. But one of the last drives that I did, as I was trying to really understand the symbols of my astrological chart, the thought came to me that maybe beyond the regular archetypes of, Aries is the emperor and Scorpio is the death, and Venus and the Empress, that in order to really understand the chart, we could just open the door a little bit more, and instead of using these associations that are already preset by Golden Dawn or whomever you follow, that we could just pick the card that really symbolizes that energy for us. And so I was going to try and do like a big spread for you guys and use the beautiful Living Will astrology deck and show you, but I did it in my head in the car, so I think that there's really no reason to go complicated with this idea. You can just meditate on it or think about it, or do a spread if you have the space and time. But the idea is that, for example, I have Leo and Saturn in my first house. So for me, the Hermit and the Emperor are very much that idea of Saturn in the first house. Is that compulsive need to organize and be structured, and it's very, very true about me. I'm compulsive when it comes to that stuff. But somehow associating those cards with that house was really, really helpful. And then the moon in Leo for me was the Queen of Wands. So, I mean, again, if you go with Leo, it's probably the Strength card. The moon is the Moon card. So just, I guess I'm not explaining this really well, but just go a step further and see which card really speaks to those glyphs and to that placement. And now we have a dialogue, because now I have the Hermit and the Queen of Wands as the two personalities that I present into the world, because it's in the first house. Does that make sense? And then it gets even more interesting, because I have this ginormous trine in fire with, Aries here and Sag here and the Leo here. And it's sort of like you invite these three characters, the Queen of Wands, for me, the Jupiter in Aries here at the top is the Nine of Cups guy. The guy, because it's all about expansion and having the energies to make wishes come true. And then, so basically, my point is like my Queen of Wands is having a dialogue with the Nine of Cups guy. And then to make it even more interesting, I have Sag in Neptune here. I don't remember which one I picked for that one, because that's for me is the hardest point in the chart to understand. But sort of the philosopher. So yeah, again, it would be probably the Hermit, the Hanged Man. So I think the Hanged Man and the Queen of Wands and the guy from the Nine of Cups are getting together for drinks and are having a conversation. And that dynamic suddenly opened something in my understanding of what are these energies of the chart. So hopefully that makes sense. If it didn't make sense, just leave me a comment below and I'll try to maybe make it more articulate. And with that, I bid you farewell. Have a wonderful weekend and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.